Good evening, everybody. I'm Fictional Crystals, and Voltron's end is near. Voltron Legendary Defender Season 8 comes out in just about a week. It'll be released on December 14th, and DreamWorks has given us a trailer for it. This season will be a longer one. It contains 13 episodes, which is to be expected since this is the final season of Voltron Legendary Defender ever. But the trailer didn't reveal much about these 13 episodes. Half of the trailer was just clips from previous seasons. Regardless, we are going to analyze the new information the trailer provided for Season 8. First, we have Shiro saying we all knew this moment would come. We know that later in the season, Shiro gets promoted to Admiral. You can tell his rank by the golden stripes on his uniform. However, in this shot, he only has 3 stripes on each shoulder, which is why this is likely from one of the first episodes of the season. This is while they're all still on Earth. He's having a meeting in the garrison. It's come to their attention that Honerva's doing something, and that they need to go into space again. Throughout the entire trailer, Shiro's making a speech.
I'm making this promise now.
There's a slight echo in his voice like he's talking through a microphone. That's because his speech is from when they're about to leave Earth. He's telling the world that they will be back. Voltron's flying through the white hole that's the entrance to Orion. From the New York Comic Con trailer for Season 8 from earlier this year, which I unfortunately can't show due to copyright issues, we know that in the gap between Season 6 and Season 7, Honerva went to Orion with the colony Altaeans. Team Voltron now knows this because of the Altaean from the Coma Mecha. They're trying to go to Orion to save the Altaeans. Little do they realize the Altaeans don't exactly want saving right now. The NYCC poster shows the Altaeans happily following Honerva, and the NYCC trailer shows the Altaeans and Orion happily being there. Even Voltron's Instagram story supports the idea. They're all looking up at her. She saved them from their first colony. Of course they're grateful to her. Honerva has the Altaean crown right now, not Allura. What's strange about Voltron trying to enter Orion is that they physically can't. That was established back in Season 5. Only chosen Altaeans are able to enter Orion, meaning either Voltron's there to drop off the chosen Altaeans, such as Allura, the Coma Mecha pilot, or even Rommel, or Voltron's there because they found a way to bypass the system. Perhaps through Allura's powers, they can all get in. A scene from the NYCC trailer shows a bunch of Altaeans staring up at Voltron who's leaving through a portal. That portal could be to Orion, and that's how Voltron gets in. Hunk is firing at one specific thing. His new weapon upgrades are focused on it too. It's in the air and it's fairly average sized, yet Hunk is concentrating so much firepower on it. It could be a small enemy ship, or something native to the planet that flies, or a rift creature from Season 3. This year's NYCC poster provided spoilers for Season 8. On it, there was a small creature that resembled a rift creature. Perhaps this is the form we'll be seeing the rift creatures this season. I'll talk more about the planet Hunk's on later on. Lance is amplifying his energy with his Bayard. This scene is practically the same as the one from Postmortem. Lance and the team are about to enter the astral plane here. That's what happened in Postmortem when they used their Bayards and saw this light. The astral plane becomes very relevant later on in the trailer. Allura's reviving a tree with her magic. I honestly don't know anything about trees. I can't even properly identify the most common of trees, so forgive me if this is totally wrong, but I think that might be a large dead ash tree. Maybe it's a place Lance used to visit a lot when it was still alive. Allura's bringing it back. What's interesting about it being an ash tree is some of the things ash trees symbolize. For instance, the spiritual realm, and the blending of past, present, and future. This foreshadows the events for the rest of the season. This episode happens early on in the season. There's definitely a time skip between Season 7 and Season 8. In that time, chances are Allura and Lance have become a couple, or at least will become a couple very early on in the season. I remember a former intern for Voltron said the first episode of Season 8 is pretty cutesy, although I don't have the exact quote since I'd have to do some fishing to find it. I do remember something along those lines being said. And Jeremy Shader, Lance's voice actor, also said there will be an episode involving Lance's family. This happened in one of his recent fancasts. The first episode might be Allura and Lance going on a date. Potentially the meeting with Lance's family is to get ready for this, since we saw how Veronica acted about Lance and Allura's relationship in Season 7. Just look at the fancy clothes they're wearing. Allura's wearing high heels and a bracelet. This is definitely a date. The tree looks dead. Allura's using her own quintessence to give life to it again. Again, since this takes place early on in the season, it's all foreshadowing foreshadowing for what's to come. It helps Allura realize what she can do. Lance is on the same planet as Hunk was earlier on. It is in fact Allura ships that are after them. A later scene in the trailer shows Keith on a planet with a similar aesthetic to this. It's possible they are on the same planet and Hunk and Lance are trying to rescue him. It may have also been hinted at by one of the Voltron thumbnails on Netflix. They've used pictures for upcoming seasons for their thumbnails before the seasons even came out. If the background picture here is from the next season, it wouldn't be the first time something like this has happened. The team's been separated. Keith's wearing his undersuit, the clothes that go underneath his actual paladin armor. I'm curious to how his paladin armor got taken away, as did his Bayard. He only has his Blade of Marmora sword, which he gave to Crowlia last season. It's actually kind of hard to tell if it's the same blade. The whole planet looks volcanic. Interesting considering where Keith comes out of in the title sequence for Voltron. I have a feeling the Paladins lost their lions. We know the Allura are on this planet because of all the shooting. Perhaps whoever Keith's fighting told him to strip off his paladin armor and paladin sword, so that they could fight like Allura. Whoever Keith's fighting is taller than him. You can tell by where he's looking, further suggesting it's a Allura. In the New York Comic Con trailer, we see that Zethrid is alive. She's standing with her crew on a barren planet similar to this one. You know what? I'm sure Zethrid is on the same planet as Keith is here. Again, I am unable to show the NYCC trailer due to copyright issues. But if you manage to find the trailer yourself, pause at the bit where you see Zethrid and her crew. Then take a look at the background. It's the same. Azor isn't there with her. The alien that looks like older Azor is there, but Azor herself is not. I don't think Azor is actually dead, but maybe Zethrid does. We know Zethrid is taller than Keith, stronger than Keith, and fights like a Allura. She might be thinking that Keith indirectly killed Azor in that explosion, so she's getting her revenge on him. But even if she wasn't, you know Zethrid loves fighting. Another option for who he's fighting is Aksha. Aksha has a history of double-crossing. It wouldn't be that surprising if it turned out she was still working for Lotor or Honerva. They made one of her scenes mirror a bounty hunter scene, and the evil druid from just 2 episodes after this. And one more option for who Keith is fighting is Lotor. It is confirmed through the New York Comic Con trailer that Lotor is returning this season. There were also plenty of hints for this through the Paladin Handbook and what Azor and Zethrid said. We've been absolutely deprived of Keith and Lotor interactions. The showrunners admitted they wanted to have Lotor and Keith interact more. It would have been such an interesting storyline considering their similar pasts and heritage. Yet we never got it. Keith and Lotor fighting would just be a nice reference to the original, where them sword fighting happened almost every episode. Personally though, I feel like Zethrid is the most likely option for who Keith is fighting. A planet is exploding, only 2 of the lions are there. It looks like all the paladins are there watching it happen. The glow of the explosion reminds me of the Rift, or Dibazal and Altai's destruction. It's possible this is a glimpse of the past considering all the other things we see in the trailers, but the exploding planet's design doesn't really match up with Altai's or Dibazal's. Maybe it's the erupting planet from earlier, or the planet the colony's on, or it is what's seen in the background of this Netflix thumbnail. But I'm going to provide one more option. Plenty of things seen in this trailer and the NYCC one suggest Season 8 will involve time travel. The NYCC trailer gives us a flashback to Lotor watching the planet he talked about on Oriand being destroyed.
He destroyed them all.
The planet he watched being destroyed looked a lot like this. Maybe through all the time manipulation, the Paladins will get to see what really happened too. They'll see that he was telling the truth. Matt's having his own solo mission. I don't have much else to say about this. It's definitely Matt here and not James Griffin. You can tell by the small scar on his face. The background here is reminiscent of Alcarion. We know through Voltron's Instagram story that Alcarion has fallen, and you can see the cracks in the background. Alternatively, it's the place Matt was heading to. The Green Lion is coming to Pidge. The Green Lion's eyes are shining, and Pidge is scowling at it, suggesting she's not happy that it's there. Except why wouldn't she want to see her own lion? Because it's being corrupted by Honerva. But that's still odd, because if you're not the lion's paladin, you shouldn't be able to control it, even if your magic is strong. So Green had to have either accepted Honerva as its paladin, or there is another way to get control of Green, by using the Green Paladin herself. No, not Pidge. Trigal. The Paladins of Old died. But the interesting thing is, the consciousness of Paladins can be stored in their lions. When Shiro died, his consciousness got stuck in the Black Lion. Gurgen, Trigal, and Blatez's bodies did die. However, their minds did not. And Honerva's found a way to contact each of their minds. Not only that, she's found a way to corrupt them. Perhaps like how her mind got corrupted. In some ways, Shiro could control Black when he was in its consciousness. He was the reason the Black Lion only chose Keith to be its pilot. He knew Corone wasn't him, so he didn't let him pilot the lion. He was able to see through the lion's eyes. Now the Paladins of Old have taken control of their original lions. The current Paladins will get to meet their predecessors. That's one of the reasons why we see the Paladins of Old walking next to the current Paladins in the NYCC poster. More evidence to support this is in the trailer itself. Here's a scene that takes place in the astral plane. It's obvious this is the astral plane because of the glow, the stars, and the fact that some of them are translucent. Plus there was that scene earlier of Lance going into the astral plane. Zoom in and take a look at the characters there. There are way more than 6 characters there in Paladin armor. The reason why there's so many characters in Paladin armor is because it's not only the current Paladins there, it's also the Paladins of Old. The Paladins have connected with them in the astral plane, and it's all going according to Honerva's plan. Honerva's found a way to bring back the past. There's a big chance it has something to do with the rift. If an explosion from the rift caused Voltron to jump ahead 3 years, maybe some of her other experiments with the rift helped her unlock time travel, at least a form of it. She also got Lothar out and he's now helping her. What if Honerva's tampering with time? She wants Lothar to love her again. When Lothar got out of the rift, he lost his memory, like she did when she got out of it.
How could I have forgotten?
Then Honerva fed him lies about his past. Except she's making those lies a reality. This brings me back to the ash tree. It symbolizes the blend of past, present, and future. That's exactly what's happening. The past, present, and future are colliding, similar to how they did in the Quantum Abyss, except this time it's real and not just a vision. The timelines are colliding, and the universe is suffering because of it. We'll get to see flashbacks of Honerva's real and fake memories. Honerva is the new Altean Empress. Call her Empress too somehow. So she's trying to bring back Altea, make Lothar love her from the start. And she's bringing back old friends from the dead to help her. The Gladiator Robeast from Season 1 is coming back to fight the Paladins in the Astral Plane too, despite them having defeated him in Season 1. It's Honerva's doing. You see this purple sweeping through the Astral Plane. It's not good. When Keith sees it, he yells to go back to their lions. It's Honerva's corrupted magic, the kind that she got when she got corrupted by the Rift creatures. With this magic, she could corrupt the Paladins of Old and get them to do her bidding. She got to spy through Narti's eyes, she got to control Corone. She can do the same to the Paladins of Old. What if it's them the Paladins are fighting in the Astral Plane in this trailer and the NYCC one? They're each fighting someone individually in the Astral Plane. They're in their own line's consciousness, as you can tell by the background. And they each have to fight their corresponding original Paladin. In the end, I think the Paladins of Old will be able to help them though. This memory of the Paladins of Old's fall is slightly different than it was in Season 3. We did see how Traggle and Blades were taken down in Legend Begins, but in that short still, Gergen wasn't there. We didn't see Hagar in that still either. It was Zarkon standing in front of them. Maybe that's due to this being an altered memory. It's something Honerva went back and changed. Or we just didn't see all the details in the still from Season 3. This is Allura. Her colors are just inverted. Honerva's coming for her mind, trying to control it. When Honerva was affecting Corone's mind, the same thing happened. He reached for his head like Allura's doing here, and the colors got inverted. Honerva's trying to stop Allura by making her submit to her. She's attempting to corrupt Allura's mind. Here's Honerva switching between all her different looks. She's still in Oriond, the same place Allura was in Season 5. I don't have much to say about this that I haven't already mentioned. This is just further proof that Honerva's blending time together. The lines Allura says here don't match up with her mouth movements, nor do they seem related to the situation she's in the shot.
This is our only chance to save all of existence.
She's wearing hospital clothes here. The line sounds like something she'd say in space before the final battle. Which brings me back to the scene from the start of the trailer, which I said contained a lot of foreshadowing. Allura is going to sacrifice herself. She's giving life to a dead tree. Life is quintessence. To stop Honerva and bring life back to all the things she killed, she'll have to use her own quintessence. To stop a destroyer, you have to be a creator. Honerva's the destroyer, Allura's the creator. Allura's the only one who rivals Honerva's skills. While Honerva takes lives, Allura gives them. But if Allura wants to bring back life to the universe, she has to give her own life. It's alchemy, equivalent exchange.
Would replenish her with energy. It was an equal exchange.
To put everything right, Allura has to sacrifice herself. And this is one of the things Voltron has been consistent about since Season 1. It's been hinted at all this time.
You may not live through it.
But I must try.
You may not survive.
I know the risks. I seek the secret of life. I give my own. You have returned to the realm of your ancestors and the life givers who came before.
It's one of the reasons why Allura and Lance are a couple early on in the season. Usually in shows, the main couple doesn't get together until the very last episode. It doesn't make sense that they're a couple early on in the season, unless we're seeing them together this early on because it won't last. Lance's line in season 3 when he was leaving the Blue Line, Allura's line foreshadowed it.
I wanted to stay with you, but sometimes what we want isn't necessarily what we get.
Typically in shows, if main characters get together with each other before the last episode, they won't last. It'll probably be a very sad scene, but Allura will be saying goodbye to him to save the universe, the realities, time itself. And yet, I don't believe she'll be properly dead. Once she sacrifices her quintessence, she'll become the Lion Goddess.
Lion Goddess.
She'll ascend to the spiritual realm, again, see the Astral, a higher being that exists on a different plane of existence. That voice she heard in Oriond, which helped her unlock her knowledge, she'll become like that all-knowing voice. She'll truly be a life-giver as the ancient Altans were, and she'll watch over her Altans not only as their princess, not as their queen, not as their empress, but as their goddess. She will get her crown and her people back, and she will be able to rule over them.
I figured she's the princess, and she's such a natural leader, you know? The universe needs her more than it needs the rest of us, plain and simple.
Unfortunately, quite possibly at the expense of not being able to see her friends again, and her old life. But she will live on. If Shiro could do it, if the Paladins of Old could do it, if the Gladiator Robes could do it, she can do it. They all carried on in another plane of existence, and so will she. Or her attempt to undo Honerva's work puts her into an alternate reality. We will see. But more proof she sacrifices herself in an astral plane-like area / ends up in an astral plane-like area is the echo in her voice when she says this is our only chance to save all of existence. This type of echo is heard when characters are in the astral plane. The last portion of the trailer has Lance and Keith activating their Bayards at the same time, which will activate the wings of Voltron. Atlas and Honerva's mecha are fighting. I know that's Honerva's mecha and not Lotar's syncline beast because of how giant it is. The syncline beast is the same size as Voltron. The Atlas is like 10 times bigger than Voltron, and the one it's fighting there is about the same size as Atlas. Okay, maybe Atlas is more than 10 times bigger than Voltron. Honerva's beast resembles a dragon. It's here in a still that got released earlier this year, and we get a full view of Honerva's beast in the NYCC trailer. The clashing of colors here resembles Voltron and Syncline's fight. Voltron's very well equipped in the shot. It's got its wings activated and dual swords, meaning what they just fought was a big threat, likely Honerva's beast or the Syncline beast. But that's about it for the new trailer. I will be making a separate video examining all the stills we've gotten for Season 8, and some of the smaller extra clips that weren't in the trailer. Anyway, for now, thanks for watching, and Rapidza.